nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up when the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no... Hands up. Get your lights up. Ain't nobody ever gonna put us out. We glow up and the lights go down. Bright light, better get your blindfold. If you take it off, keep your eyes closed. Supernova shooting through your backbone. M87 golden halo. Even in the pitch black, we know where we are. Even with no...
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Northern Wall, your weekly talk show with me, your co-host, Kayla Malari. I am just one co-host, and I didn't know if I could say this yet for this episode, but my other co-host, which is my sister, T-Ray, or Tiffany Ray Malari, is not going to be here today because... last night, no, not even last night. It's just, I saw her last night. Yesterday morning, my beautiful sister and my amazing brother-in-law said hello to their newest baby and my first niece, Roshana Jensen Hall. She is now here in the world. John just announced it on his Instagram, which thank gosh, I was like, okay, John announced it, I can finally say it. It was taking a while. I took so many pictures of her. I got to see her last night. Mom is doing great. Dad is doing great. Little baby Ro is doing amazing. Rochambeau is awesome. I'm in love with her. That's my new best friend. I will be posting pictures of her with permission from the parents on my Instagram later on, but that's why she's not here, because my amazing sister was so good at giving birth and she needs much needed rest. So hopefully she will be back soon. I know she's born. Y'all, she's beautiful. She's my new best friend. She's amazing. She's going to cons with us. Anyways, that's why it's just me today. And I was going to interview a choirman, but we're actually pushing that interview to next week. So today I decided, hey, you know what's kind of perfect in lieu with everything that I've been putting on our social media and with what's been happening with core, let me drop some core lore on you. So in the past, I have done the history of the core dance crew. If you want like a full breakdown history of like chronologically what we've done and how we've done things and like what we've done for those, you can go to the early episodes of the Beyond the Northern Wall way back in 2020 during the pandemic when Beyond the Northern Wall first started. That's all on our YouTube channel. But this isn't the history of core. This is core lore. So this is the mythos. This is the stories and the personal experience that went behind everything that happened for core. So where the history, I was a little bit more diplomatic and a little bit more neutral as I can be. This core lore has everything through my own perspective as one of the directors who created the core in the beginning and the only one who has been there from its conception all the way to now. Core lore adds in all of the little extra side stories, a little bit of the emotional aspect, a little bit of the mythos behind everything core has done. So this is just first in a long series that will happen. And this first episode of core lore will deal with two of the biggest conventions on the West Coast that happened during the summer that core has now been participating in for now combined over a decade. Let that information sink in for a little bit. Over a decade, we've been performing at two of the biggest conventions on the West Coast. Like, who are we, first of all? And second, that we have that much time and material to cover is kind of cuckoo bananas. But let's do it because there's actually a lot of story behind it that people either don't know, that I don't know people don't know, or that have misconceptions about it. Also, as I'm looking, like you guys are here and then my screen's over here, ignore the chaos of my office as it is. As I'm looking, I'm like, oh, I should, every time I go in here to clean my office, that's not what happens. That's not what happens at all. Oh, and also thank you, Eliza, for shout out to makeup. I was trying to practice something with makeup and then it didn't work out. Because lo-fi is my makeup inspiration. I was like, what if I use this color? And I said, oh, that doesn't look good. And then this is what happened. And then I was like, maybe I'll curl my hair today. And that's what's going on. Anyways, so let's talk about it. Anime Expo, the biggest anime convention in Northern America. And then San Diego Comic-Con, the biggest comic convention that's gone beyond just being a comic convention. You know what I mean? I have all my notes here because I was forgetting. Wow, that was nothing. That was like a blank screen. I was forgetting what we did. That's how much time has passed. And as I was going over everything that happened, like getting to these conventions, performing at them, and then consistently showing up every year, it was like a welling up of excitement and remembering of the frustrations and also like renewed conviction, but also extreme fatigue. So I went through a plethora of emotions for this. So you're coming with me on this journey, as I love to tell Core all the time. Now, quick predecessor to all that. Core started, as some of you may know, back in 2013 as just a dance company in a hip hop dance session, or setting. It started at Maxed Out as just a dance project. Meaning we didn't think it was going to go beyond that. And we didn't do anything remotely cosplay related. We were just a dance company that performed for the first time. And we decided to call ourselves the Survey Corps because at the time me and Sonali really liked Attack on Titan. Then spring came along and Ultimate Brawl, another hip-hop competition, collegiate hip-hop competition down here in Southern California, was happening. And we decided to take a fully cosplayed set with a Walmaria prop and a huge Titan to a non-anime or cosplay environment. And it was amazing. Great reception. You watch that old video, UB Ultimate Brawl 2014, the Survey Corps. That's the first time we cosplayed in a dance performance on stage. And the audience is just filled with nerds. Like, as much as we all like to think, because, you know, I'm old. I came back in a day where I wasn't an out and proud nerd, you know, back in high school. But I also wasn't so special that I thought I was the only one that was a nerd. A lot of people are like, I'm the only nerd in school and nobody knows how I feel. That's never been true in the history of ever. There are a bunch of nerds. And I was aware that there were a bunch of nerds. But I wasn't out about it because I knew that all of us were secretive about our nerddom because we were all nervous and we were all embarrassed and we were all scared. So I was like, you know what? Let's all be quiet nerds to ourselves. And it'll come out when we're older and more confident. So taking something nerdy to a non-nerdy environment and then watching the nerds rise to the occasion and hearing the cheers from the audience at UB 2014 was all the fuel we needed, where we were like, oh my gosh, I think this is something we want to do for a while. But we didn't really have any other venues other than the hip hop collegiate competition performance scene, which is once every 2 months there's a competition. So that was back in March, April, May, something like that. Anyways, I remember being at an overnight at Disney, and one of our corpsmen, Nicole, messaged the Corps email and said, hey, I have a contact with someone at Anime Expo. They're like a friend of mine, and they are in charge of entertainment, and I sent them our stuff, and they want to see if we can perform for Anime Expo's Masquerade halftime. So this was a response. Nicole, who was on Core at the time, she's the one that got us in the door at Anime Expo that first time around. Now, way back, personal experience, way back when I was on a collegiate team, I performed at Anime Expo in the past. Like back in 2009? 2010? Something like that. We performed at Anime Expo. We didn't. our group was invited to like be at the after party that wasn't at the convention center, that was down the street in the hotel in like a ballroom. And it wasn't really perform so much as like we cleared a space in the dance area and like did a set. And we all showed up kind of in cosplays of whatever the heck we wanted. So that was the closest prior to core that I had ever gotten to Anime Expo, to performing in cosplay or performing in cosplay at a convention. So it wasn't one. So we said, okay, 2014, let's do it. Let's take our Attack on Titan set to Anime Expo, the biggest con that prior to that was never able to get tickets for because I was either sold out or way too expensive and out of my price range. And I didn't really have anyone to go with. Now I had a whole crew that like, if we went, we had to go and we had to cosplay together, which was amazing. However, Attack on Titan set was 6 minutes. Okay, in the collegiate world, your set is like 6 minutes long. If your exhibition, maybe 7. Prior to that, I was a studio kid, so we did showstoppers and car dance competitions where your sets were about 3 to 4 minutes, unless it was a production number, which was maybe 6 to 7 minutes. So now we had to take our 6-minute set of Attack on Titan and lengthen it out to about 20 to 25 minutes to perform at a masquerade halftime opposite the other hip-hop dance crew, which was Chemical X. So many things with that. One, we were like, we have to be interesting for 20 minutes? That's so much. And that means we have to go into rehearsal because, again, like it's always been for the past 10 years, core rehearses once a week on Tuesday nights for like maybe 4 hours. It's actually, in truth, like 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 45 minutes. But for 4 hours once a week, we had to put together a 20-minute set. That's not easy. There's so many elements. And we're like, oh, stress. We got the clear to go to AX so late. So we had maybe a month, maybe a little bit over a month to prepare. Second, none of us had been to AX before. We didn't know what was going on. So we're like, geez Louise, we don't know what's happening. So when we go to AX that year, 2014, I remember I remember getting badges and we go in with, we're in cosplay, but we have Walmaria. So think of a PVC pipe from Home Depot, like 10 feet tall. That was Walmaria, but it was big. It spanned the length of a stage. So it was about 30 feet long and the wall was fabric so that we could roll it up and then like transport it. I have a pickup truck, but it's not nearly long enough. So like transporting the wall and the Titan and everything to AX, to LA in my truck, like it's the wall sticking out. Getting into the con was not easy. It's rolled up as this big log that takes like about 4 people to carry simply because of how long it is and we don't want people to like walk into it. So we go into West Hall, 2014, first time there. We have our badges. I got our badges from someone, or maybe someone got our badges. I remember handing out at one point. And some people wanted to like actually attend the convention. But we also have a whole slew of props and we don't know where to go. We don't know where the main stage is. So we like deposited it in that lobby of West Hall. And if you've ever been to Anime Expo, in front of West Hall, where Entertainment Hall now is, there's like not a space to deposit a giant wall and a Titan. And yet, that's what we did. So I remember everyone was like, oh, I want to go to the exhibit hall, Artist Alley. And I said, you guys go ahead. There's like a few panels I wanted to go to, but I was like, I need to figure out what to do with our wall. So some of us, like only a handful of us stayed with the props. Everyone else, we just let them go. Eventually we figure out, okay, we're going to go to Main Events Hall. We go in there and we meet the other hip hop crew, Chemical X. The reason why that's important to the mythos and lore of Core is because Chemical X at the time was holding future Coresmen on it that weren't there for tech. So it was led by Caleb Diaz. If you don't know who Caleb Diaz is, go back into our Immortal Bond, the Demon Slayer short film that we did. He plays Aranosuke. And if you go back and watch Beyond the Northern Wall back in 2015, he was one of the original Free Boys. So before all that happened, Caleb Diaz is running Chemical X, the other hip-hop crew. Also on that crew is the now iconic, forever our Noodle King, Trini. I didn't even get to officially meet Trini at 2014 Anime Expo Masquerade Halftime. I knew who she was. I had heard her name. For those who don't know, her name was very well known in the community because she's that good. So of course everyone knows her name. So I was like, oh yeah, I know Trini. Like everyone's like, oh my God, Trini's here. And I was like, dude, what? I've heard of her. I knew she was on Makers. I knew she was dope. That's cool she's on that team. And Steve Vargas, who, if you go back and watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he played our Coulson. He was our original Naruto in Beyond the Northern Wall, and he played Aang in our anime medley performance at Anime Los Angeles back in 2017. Had to think about it. So there's like a bunch of future corpsmen on Chemical X. There's not many of them are there for tech. So it was really funny. It was like Trini and Caleb trying to do a whole set that required 30 people and then just trying to run the tech. So we were there and we're getting ready to perform. And this is our first time seeing Main Events Hall. It's massive. It is huge. We were like, who are we that we're performing for this huge room of like 5,000 plus people that have to get to this ticketed event? We're going to be their halftime show. Holy bananas, okay? Side story on this. If you go back and watch Attack on Titan 2014, this is the Talk Dirty. Go before Talk Dirty. Don't watch Talk Dirty anymore. You don't need to see that. Go before that. Go before to Turn Down for What? There is a dancer there. His name's Thomas. He plays Titan Eren. Now, Thomas is a stuntman. He's been a professional stuntman for as long as I've known him. He was a martial artist. He was a dancer. I met him at Disney. He joined Core. He started going into stunt. He's very successful at it. He had gotten injured like a week prior to the performance. Now, I want to say he was injured as a stuntman, but he was not injured as a stuntman. The reason I tell you he was a stuntman is because he would have been more injured had he not been in such good shape and didn't know how to take a hit. So, unfortunately, he had gotten into a car accident right before the convention. Thankfully, he was okay. He was fine. He could still attend the con. He just was, his body was just so sore. His bones were bruised. He's like, I can't dance. I can't do any of my tricks. He was our big tricker. We're like, that's fine. You don't have to do anything. He's like, well, I still want to be a part of it. We're like, okay, well, then you'll be Titan Eren. Because he kind of looked like Titan Eren. Like, he has the long black hair, the shoulder length hair, and he was really buff. So while we're preparing for tech, I send him to the backstage with someone, I don't even know who anymore, to go get ready and put makeup on. Because I'm thinking he's going to, like, become a Titan. I'm thinking he's going to put cosplay makeup on. But there's so much chaos going on. There's so much disorganization, not just on our part, but on everyone's part, because it's kind of chaotic, that I'm just trying to figure out, like, when do we go on? When do we, like, I don't want to be in the way of the masquerade contestants. This is our first time here. We don't know how everything's going. We don't know who's in charge. So I don't see Thomas until he shows up on stage for the part where he turns into a Titan. And when I tell you when we look and Eren bites and he goes, turn down for what? And then a Titan shows up, I'm thinking a Titan's going to show up. I was not aware that just a naked man was going to show up. It's just Thomas wearing nude shorts. No makeup whatsoever. Nothing. There's nothing on him to depict that he's in any way, shape, or form cosplaying as any character. He's just a naked man. And he's an injured naked man, so he can't do any of his tricks. So I'm like, oh gosh, we don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to walk around? Like, we rehearsed this, but we didn't rehearse this because we were stressed out. So if you watch, I'm pretty sure I'm on stage, my stage left, audience stage right, gripping onto the rail, still on stage, because there's no off stage at that point. Gripping onto the rail next to, like, Armin, just not watching what's going on. Because what's happening behind me on the stage is a naked man now beating up a girl. I'm like praying. I'm like, oh my gosh. We're in front of 5,000 people right now. They don't know who we are. Are they getting any of the jokes? Is any of this landing? Like, we are far into the set at this point. I think we're good, like, 15 minutes into the set. And I don't know if they're resonating. Like, I'm hearing the crowd reactions and they're really great, but still you're nervous. You're like, oh my gosh, like, we knew what we were trying to portray in the set in regards to Attack on Titan, because we really loved Attack on Titan and these jokes made sense to us. And you're praying to the gods themselves. I hope everyone's humor is on the same wavelength. I really hope. And by the time we got to talk dirty, it was. And it helped that Chemical X was in the rows in front of us. And all the way back, like to so far back you can't even see in the darkness, the audience is reacting and they're loving it. And we're kind of like ShamWowed. When we did our final moment, we like throw our swords down and we do this and we point. We're pointing to Chemical X because it was just a jokey thing. Chemical X shoots up and they give us a standing ovation because we cheered for them too. We're just so excited. But then everyone was cheering. We get off. I remember leaving the con, and it's so late at night because Masquerade goes super late. We had to wait till everyone was gone. We had to wait because we had to get our wall out of there, and that was like our one day there. I remember walking through the lobby and it's empty. It's close to midnight, and I'm with our Armin at the time, and at the top of our lungs we're singing, "Why you gotta be so rude?" Why? I don't know. That song was just stuck in our heads. It had played somewhere. It meant nothing, but it was the song stuck in our heads. But I remember singing it super loud because we were so bloody excited. And I walk out of that con and I'm like, I just went to an anime convention, the biggest one, with my friends, with something that we all created together in cosplay on a stage and presented it to a bunch of strangers and they liked it. This is going to get addictive. Like that feeling, it was there. And I was like, holy cuckoo bananas. This is what we're going to do. And because we got such a good reaction, we're like, maybe we could do this again. So that was our very first convention appearance and performance, was 2014 Anime Expo Attack on Titan set. Now leading up to Anime Expo 2015, now I got the bug. I'm like, there's got to be other conventions that we can perform at. There's got to be other venues that we could do things at. So I start trying to figure out, how do you become the performance group for a convention? How do you become a cosplay dance crew? And guess what? There's no guide. There's nothing that you can follow. There's no one that has like a way to figure it out. So it was the blind leading the blind. It was me and my co-director Sonali at the time, and whoever was helping us, whoever was our captains, whoever was really just hanging out with us, trying to figure out what to do. And so when I say the cold calls, and like, okay, this is my analysis of me as a human person. You get me into a conference room. You put a table in front of me. You give me access to a screen. I have my laptop with my PowerPoint. I have paperwork and booklets for you. I got my media kit on my iPad. We're golden. I will sell you core. The problem was, how do I get into the conference room? Who do I got to talk to that I got to walk into their office? Where do you even start with that? And like, you can go look yourself. It is so difficult to find out who's in charge of what at a convention. Because here's some logistics info for you. For a lot of people who are like, do you guys get paid to perform? Is it like that? Here's the thing. Conventions is a weird, jagged line of volunteers and nonprofit, where either, and it's not consistent throughout, the people working conventions and the organizers that are creating it are either volunteer only with compensations and either reimbursement for their time or compensation of attendance, room and board and travel to the convention. That can go up as high as someone who's a co-head of a department. And then there's the other side where they are getting a paycheck for it, but it's not everyone. Not everyone who has that same title is getting a paycheck. It is a variable paycheck. It's still a nonprofit, so there has to be a certain cap on it. Some people are salaried, while as some people get a payout. It is mayhem. Trying to navigate and figure out who's who and what's what and who's on the payroll. Good luck. So that's what's really hard too, is like going to these conventions, because one, someone might be a volunteer that I need to talk to, or someone is actually paid for that position. Two, people who you think are getting paid to be doing what they're doing at cons aren't. They're just getting compensated. Three, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts, because a lot of conventions are driven by the fan experience, and then also in tandem held alongside the actual commercial experience. So the fans can't and shouldn't really be making profit off of material that comes from the commercial source. However, the commercial source needs these conventions to reconnect with their fan base and to sell their merchandise. Maybe I do a whole episode where I talk about the whole business side of it because it sucks. I'm a Capricorn and I think it sucks, guys. Anyways, trying to find other conventions to perform at was difficult. But I thought, we already have a foot in the door for AX. Let's see if we can do AX again. 2015 rolls around. Anime Expo 2015 is on the horizon. I'm trying to figure out how do we get back on that stage, because we have so many ideas. This is the year we're thinking of Beyond the Northern Wall. Me and Sonali had been thinking and dreaming up Beyond the Northern Wall the whole year prior. We were still doing competitions at the time. That's when we put together our Bollywood set at Maxed Out in November of 2014. After that, we were putting together Beyond the Northern Wall, this big epic adventure that is, in all reality, pure chaos. And we're like, how do we get it to the stage at Anime Expo? You would think that performing with them the year before, you just contact the same people again. Here's the problem. Because of all of that, there's volunteers, there's people in charge, there's people moving around, people moving up, people moving to other cons being created. The same people aren't guaranteed to be there the next year. So turnover is very, very crazy. And the people that you think you need to contact are not those people anymore. And they're not going to send your information over because right now we've only been around for barely 2 years. Nobody really knows who we are. We don't have a media kit. We don't have a way to contact anyone. So now we're scrounging around for the original contact that Nicole had reached out to the year before, or just someone in general. There was an open house at the SPJA offices. The Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation is the company that puts on Anime Expo. They were having an open house to kind of gauge interests of volunteers for the con, or ideas or feedback of past cons so they can create for the new year. I saw that on their website, and so I brought a bunch of correspondents and I said, hey, I'm going to this just so I can see if I can meet someone. It is the coldest call of cold calls. Who wants to come with me? I was trying to find that picture. I have a picture from it where we all came in our core gear and we were just there. And I was able to get in touch with, at the time, who was in charge of entertainment, Tim Wyckoff. I still know Tim to this day. He's a cosplayer. He does amazing. Oh my God, what is his name? From Mario. It's eluding me. Bowser. I was like, Balthazar? Bowser, he does amazing Bowser cosplays. And I still see him now. We're still friends now. I still say hi to him. It's great catching up with him. But he was in charge of entertainment back then. And I was able to get in contact with him. And I reached out to Tim Wyckoff. And I said, hey, we performed for Anime Expo Masquerade Halftime the year before. Wanted to see if we could come back. We have great ideas. I can break it down for you. Creating this stuff is hard. Creating the cosplays is hard. But we can do it. We can show you samples. We can show you ideas. We can give you all this stuff. Unfortunately, Masquerade Halftime was going to a musical artist that year. They were going to have Wagaki Band. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but they're like the 7-person rock band / traditional. Ooh, my camera. Sorry, let me fix that. There you go. Oh, did it fix it? Yeah, it did. So Wagaki Band was a 7-person band that mixed traditional Japanese instruments with rock music. And they were supposed to perform for Masquerade Halftime alongside a country singer? I don't know. Because they were doing a performance in the Novo, which was at LA Live across the street. And that was also the year the Try Guys were going to do this whole thing. They were having a whole takeover of Anime Expo. Try Guys was doing, they did something for the opening ceremonies, something for closing ceremonies. They did a little skit at the beginning of Masquerade show, and then they were doing something at the Masquerade Halftime with Wagaki Band. So they were like, we have bigger names, which is fine. That's true. They are. Try Guys and Wagaki Band are much bigger names than Core Dance Group. We're not anyone anymore. So we're like, oh, okay. But he was like, but we did like what you guys did. That was new. That was creative. So how about let's create a new space for you guys to perform at. So Entertainment Hall at the time, back in 2014 into 2015 wasn't what it is today. Entertainment hall was just kind of where you went to play TCGs, so like your trading card tournaments, or where they had video games. It was kind of like where you lounged, you know, or where they had screenings, or like the anime lounge. They wanted to kind of up the ante of entertainment hall. They wanted to slowly build it into something just as, you know, gargantuan and extravagant as exhibit hall. So they're like, in West Hall, we're really going to build that. Let's see if we can do this like community performance thing, something that really involves the attendees and the guests, because you guys are kind of a representation of a whole slew of fans that have talent, that want to portray it to pay homage to the animes that they love or the video games that they love. And there's so much talent out there, and we need a venue for them to do it at. So they didn't have a stage. We were originally, and I had drawings of this. They had the schematics of the entertainment hall, and we were emailing back and forth, me and Tim. And he was like, this little section, it was supposed to be front of entertainment hall to the right. It was going to be just a section of the floor, like roped off with stanchions. And they're like, if you have like a portable speaker, maybe we can do like a little performance there on the floor. And it's a linoleum floor, and there's a lot of space. I was like, you know what? We can make it work. Let's make it work. And then he was like, yeah, maybe over time we can like really build that space and it could be something, but we're running out of time here, so let's see if we can do something. We're like, okay, that's what we're going to do. So we're building Beyond the Northern Wall. The day's coming up. Tim reaches out and goes, hey, we had enough in our budget. We're actually going to erect a stage at the back of the entertainment hall, and that's going to be the community stage, and that's where you're going to perform. We have like a few other musical acts that could perform there too, but then we don't have as much, like the roster wasn't filled as much for community stage because they weren't really advertising for it. So they were like, we'll put some like karaoke moments back there, some of those idle moments that happen in the panel rooms, we're going to put it back there. So this will just be like a test to see how community stage goes. It's at the very, very back of entertainment hall. So people who are in there, like playing their games and everything, they're going to see it. And we're like, you know what? Let's do it. We show up. We're a team of, 27? And the stage was teeny tiny. If you saw 2015's Beyond the Northern Wall, you'll see that the stage is really small, but we were like, okay, not many people knew what was back there, and there was a lot of empty time. So we're like, we got to clear some space. So we with the permission of whoever was back there, because they're, the heads of entertainment are running around. It's crazy chaotic. We reach out to techs and I go, hey, and it was, we had those techs for a good 5-6 years up until the pandemic. They were so great. They actually, a lot of them moved over to Anime Los Angeles, which is kind of funny now that I think about it. But a bunch of our tech friends were there, and we're like, that's where we first met each other. And we're like, can we move these chairs so we can make space for these gargantuan dance numbers that we're going to do? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So we put those chairs on the side and we made that space, and no one was advertising for us. So we're like, okay, we got to advertise for our performance. So this was where, like, kind of spontaneously, this was like kind of like last minute marketing scheme that Sonali and I decided on. We're like, guys, so we asked the team, we were like, let's print out flyers. We made flyers, like handout flyers of pictures of us that Nicole had graphic designed that said, Beyond the Northern Wall will be, the Survey Corps Dance Crew will be performing on the community stage at 4, something like that, random. And we went out in the front of the con and we did a freestyle video. That very first freestyle video where everything is unplanned. Where the camera went, it traveled. We didn't mean for it to travel. It traveled from where now they do badge pickup all the way through the front of the con to the front of West Hall to show where we were at. We filmed it and we just divvied up who was going to go next for each freestyle. It looks planned. 100% of it is not planned. And as we're dancing, you can look in the background. There's corpsmen handing out these flyers. Like, come watch us. We are begging, we need an audience because we need to show that we can do something entertaining. So after we do our freestyle, we're dead. We're so overheated. We go inside, we prepare to do the show. As we're doing the show, this is why. There are corpsmen who don't, perform until maybe a good 5 or 6 minutes into the performance. The very first dance number, after the opening Geronimo, is Free Boys. That's the first anime that we touch on. Corpsmen went out into the entertainment hall and they're like, it's a Free Boy dance crew. They were, because Free was so big at the time, and they're like, oh my God, look, the Free Boys are doing a concert. That got so many people. They're like, what? Free is dancing, and you see these 4 good-looking guys just topless, which they all were very excited to be topless. It was hot, and they loved being Free Boys. They went way above and beyond than what was required to be Free Boys. Like, we didn't need that much commitment to the character, and they were like, oh, you're getting nothing less than 200. So now people are tittering in the entertainment hall, and they're like, oh my God, it's a Free Boys concert. So they come and watch, and they stay. When I tell you I'm dancing, we're doing, I don't know what we're doing at this point, but I'm dancing, and it is overcrowded. We were a fire hazard. The fire marshals came by and started moving people, so at least there was some sort of walkway. But even then, people are just filling in where people are leaving behind. And as we're dancing, I see in the corner of my eye, over by the pillar, first of all, I see Lonnie Brown. Lonnie, who's been a friend of us for so long and who's a good friend of mine and my sister's, had come and surprised us to watch. So I see Lonnie sitting on the side because there's not enough chairs anymore and there's not enough standing room. And next to Lonnie, standing by the pillar, is Tim Wyckoff and his entertainment team. And they're looking around at the crowd and they're talking to each other. And I remember thinking, got him. Got him. You guys are great. This is amazing. At the end of Beyond the Northern Wall, all of the AOT characters, we latch on. I latch on to Levi and my Jean, and we jump off and we jump through the portal, through the crowd. You can watch it, and we go through. Everyone else gets stuck behind. We had to clear the crowd before we were done with our number. We had to run to the front of the entertainment hall. At the halfway point between the back of the entertainment hall to the front, that's where the crowd stopped. That's where we were finally clear of everybody. I'm like, oh my gosh, brother, is brother here? Hidalgo. He remembers we were winded because we had to run so far. And as we're breathing, we're dying. And people are like, passing by, they're like, that was amazing, that was so cool. And we're like, yeah, thanks. I start to hear, and I was like, wait, there's music playing. It's Shut Up and Dance With Me. It's still playing. And I look, and I'm like, there's still a crowd. We go back. The set had been playing on my phone. And so after the set played, I didn't stop it after that. There was just a next song ready to go on accident. That the text just let loop. They didn't know. The next song that played was Shut Up and Dance With Me. And the minute it started playing, Core just decided, we're going to freestyle. And then they start freestyling and putting on this entire show. And then you see Matt go in, and he's such a Disney person, he gets people to come up and dance. You actually see Trini join years before she joins Core. She goes up and dance, and it is a dance party. It's at the ending credits of Beyond the Northern Wall. Like, I'm remembering how amazing that experience was. People were so excited. So many cosplay dancers are coming out. So many people who were shy to dance were like, well, everyone's getting up and dance. So as they're dancing, like, you'll see me for a second. I come out there and dance for like a little bit because all of AOT joins back in. And then halfway through, I see Tim Wyckoff on the side, and he does this to me. And I'm like, oh my God, we're in trouble immediately. If you know me, I'm constantly paranoid, and I'm like, we're in trouble. We've done something wrong. Everyone's dancing. Good time. I go up to Tim Wyckoff, and he goes, this is amazing. And I'm like, oof, thank God. And he was like, this is so much more of a turnout than we thought. This wasn't promoted anywhere. Nobody knew this stage existed. He's like, this is remarkable. I can't believe this is the crowd you guys pulled. Look at how excited everyone is. This is kind of a safety hazard, but you know what? Let's run with it. You can tell the guests are having a good time. He was like, contact me after the con is done. We need to talk because we need more of this. And I remember thinking, got him. And after Beyond the Northern Wall, I remember like we went to the exhibit hall the next day because we got to attend the con for all 4 days. And I think that's when the AOT group did gift sniping. Hi, babe. Do you want to say hi?
Sure.
My Levi's here. If you guys want to say hi, he just came home from work. Hi, my Levi.
Dude, that's my camera.
No. Your camera's actually down here. This is my camera because it has a little flippy flap.
Dude, that's your camera.
That's my camera. I also told them about Ro.
Oh, yeah.
But also, just really quick, really quick. Do you remember the end of Beyond the Northern Wall when it was that freestyle that happened spontaneously that we didn't plan to happen? Do you remember that?
No. Oh, wait, yeah? Everyone was there.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you feel performing Beyond the North Wall? Just really quick.
Mm.
What did it feel like doing that? Because it was so, everything was unexpected.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It was fun. What about it? What am I trying to remember?
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there was a lot. That's all I can say. I remember there was a part, well, for closer, like all of us run off.
Yes.
That's the part I was looking forward towards, only because it meant that the marathon is like at the end.
But we still had to run so far, remember, to clear the
Yeah,
crowd?
yeah, to clear the crowd.
It was so far, and I remember being in a pile with like Liz, and like we were breathing so hard because we had to run so far.
We ran like past the crowd.
And the crowd was too big.
And I kept running until like the middle of the entertainment.
See, middle of entertainment hall.
Yeah.
And we were like we were like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then when we came back, that's when the freestyle was happening. We were like, what is going on? And everyone was just having a dance party, and I was like, okay. And then just...
There's that, you know, if you watch at the shot, that's when you see Sin walk up to you with Lotus.
Oh, yeah.
Lotus is literally this big.
Yeah, he's like the little Bulbasaur.
No, he was Metapod.
I'm
yeah,
tripping.
Metapod. He was the...
Yeah, he was a little Metapod. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
So it was like, that was 2015, and I thought, how perfect. So we go into that, after that, whole new doors are open. Now I'm like, okay, I think I got it. I think I know how to communicate with people in conventions now. So I start going off and reaching out to other conventions, other cons. So I start reaching out, and I think that we're going to have a conversation earlier in regards to 2016's Anime Expo. Granted, at the end of that year, that's when I injured myself for the first time. That's when I first tore my ACL and shredded my right knee. So I was again just home, injured, and I was like, well, I'm home. I have nothing to do but paperwork and like contact people. I'm reaching out to Anime Expo, and we're not really getting a response. Time is passing, and I'm getting a little nervous and scared. It's now into the new year. 2015 is over. We're in 2016. Spring is on the horizon. We don't know what we're going to do. And we're like, oh no, like I want to perform. And now I'm getting a little frustrated because now this is the second time that we want to perform at AX. And I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe there's other venues for us. So I remember talking about this with Sonali, and I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how this is going to be a thing. But I'm going to find out who's in charge of San Diego Comic-Con. I have been trying to go to San Diego Comic-Con long before I was even trying to get to Anime Expo. Long before. Like, I was the person who woke up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the day that San Diego Comic-Con tickets were going on sale, and I would wait to buy one, and I would get trapped in the white room of death, and I'd never make it. I'd never get a ticket to San Diego Comic-Con. And I remember in 2012, I remember sitting and not getting a ticket again, and thinking to myself, so manifesting is a real thing. It just, you got to understand it takes time. This is 2012. I'm like, if I can't get into San Diego Comic-Con as a guest, I'm going to get there as someone on the other side of the table. I'm going to be sitting on the other side of the panel. I'm going to be sitting somewhere on that stage looking out at the guests, and that's how I'm going to get at Comic-Con. I don't know how. Dancers in the industry don't get asked to do panels at San Diego Comic-Con. But I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. Somehow, I'm going to get to San Diego Comic-Con as a guest rather than an attendee. So that was my conviction. I said, Sonali, we're gonna do this. She's like, we're going to do this. So we hunkered down, and I found out who's in charge. A lovely, lovely man named Martin was in charge of entertainment, and specifically the masquerade at San Diego Comic-Con. I sent him a manifesto of an email, a long breakdown of who we were, what we were about, and then I sent him all of our materials in the most concise way possible. I had made a dance reel for us, and then I had broken down and did like a photo reel. Nicole had helped create the beginnings of our media kit at the time. So she did a lot of our graphic design. She did a preliminary media kit and then made a professional one later on. But I sent that over. So it was a, collaborative help. It wasn't just me. It was all the people and all the talent we had going, and me taking all of that consolidated information and being like, and throwing it at the wall and hoping that it stuck. like a week later, I get an email back from Martin. And I'm like sweating because I'm at my house and I'm at my computer and I'm like, oh my God, reading this email. And then I had to tell my board at the time. And the email was amazing. Martin he was so honest from the get-go. And his email said, when I first saw this and I started to open it, I started to read the first few lines and I thought, okay, because he saw that it was a big email. He was like, I'm probably just going to skim this. I'm probably just going to glaze over it. Because they had been working with the Saber Guild for years at this point. They had their Entertainment for Masquerade halftime. And then he said, as I started reading it, I got very, very interested. I ended up reading everything you sent me. I ended up watching everything you sent me. And what I think you guys do is amazing. I would love to have you guys perform for Masquerade halftime of 2016. Fell over, crying. It was amazing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is San Diego Comic-Con. I can't even attend it as a guest or as an attendee. And they're going to have us come in and be the performance act. And it was as quick as like sending over our roster and whatnot. So, and this is like a little bit later in the game. Like we didn't plan for that to happen. So immediately I messaged the team. I'm like, whoever's available for this performance, we got to put together a separate set than what we're doing for AX. If we get AX, we still don't know if we have AX at this time. So we're preparing the second installment of our Beyond the Northern Wall trilogy, which was Into the Kingdom, which was a mixture of Disney villains and like Attack on Titan in a very Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy way. I don't know. Into the Kingdom, while I love it so much, was so unnecessarily convoluted, mainly because we felt like we needed to put more in. That's why that set was chock full of way too much. There was so much dialogue, so much story, so much going into everything because we were like, okay, maybe the year before we weren't good enough. Maybe we need to be more in depth. Maybe, nerds love over analysis. So let's do that. Let's overanalyze everything. And we created Into the Kingdom. After we found out we were doing San Diego Comic-Con, we finally got back with Tim and he said that we were going to do Community Stage and Masquerade Halftime again. And we were going to hold our very first panel, I think. That was our very first panel year. Bananas. Was that our first panel? Yeah, because we taught, it was like a panel / workshop, and we taught, when can I see you again? That was our closer. The first time we had that panel, I remember Brandon was like getting the crowd ready. We go into the panel room. And I need to tell you, again, it was such a struggle to go back to AX, so we're thinking we're not really anybody. They put us in a panel room that held 200 people. We get in there. As we were walking up, we see our line outside. It's a huge line. There were about 300 people waiting to go into our panel room. They had to cut it off. About 150 people couldn't make it in. It was amazing. And we didn't fit in that room, but somehow we got everyone standing and they like faced each other and they were doing the choreo to each other and just having so much fun. It was insane. And then when we left the panel room, everyone who didn't get in there was waiting for us outside to the point where like the convention volunteers were like, you can't meet up here. You guys are blocking for the next panel. We're like, we're so sorry. So we're like just trying to get out. But people are like, oh my gosh, we saw you guys do Beyond the Northern Wall the year before. This was amazing. And we're ShamWowed because they're like, what is happening? There's no way you know who we are. Like upset is how we're dealing with this. People would be like, can I have a picture with you? And I'd be like, why? And other people were like, let's get a whole picture of the group. And half of core would be leaving to like, why? They're not talking to me. And I'm like, they're literally grabbing your arm. They want a picture with you. It was so humbling and so kind and such an amazing experience. Then we did Into the Kingdom on the stage at Community Stage. Amazing stories there. You can see when Koki destroys Maleficent's scepter, and then she and my sister as Maleficent puts the scepter backstage, and our prop master in the audience saw that, ran from the audience backstage, snuck on stage, got the scepter, fixed it, and then you see her talking, and as she's talking, he gets as close as he can off stage and just slips the scepter back into her hand. So she's talking, the scepter goes back, and she's like, oh my God, it's fixed. It's amazing. There's so many stories like that. So we do it there on the community stage, and then the next day we prepare and we take it to the Masquerade halftime stage, which that performance completely eludes me. I don't remember that at all. Other than launching myself off of a platform and landing in a really cool roll. That's it. But we had so much fun. Again, great crowd reaction. We had a great time backstage with everybody. There's a really sweet picture of the AOT crew in our Kingdom Hearts Final Fantasy garb, and we're like in the really small dressing room that they put us in, and it's like one of my favorite pictures ever because everyone's just so excited. We had created those cosplays, like their original designs of like how would Attack on Titan be in Kingdom Hearts, and that was so much fun. Those keyblades were made originally, printed, and built by our prop master, Josh. That set was amazing. And then we go a couple weeks later, put on these X-Men outfits, which we were like, the X-Men cosplay wasn't originally a dance cosplay. That was just us as a crew going to LA Comic-Con the year before on a different day that wasn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Day. We wanted to also cosplay as a group, and we're like, well, we love X-Men. And Brandon at the time was a huge, like he did a Gambit cosplay. He was over visiting me while I was still injured, and he said we could do it. We could, like, I know we're Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for Performance Day, but like the other day when you go to the con, what if we all just showed up as like X-Men? Let's figure it out. Let's make it. And we did, and so good thing we did, because we're like, let's put on those cosplays again. Let's make an X-Men set. Let's take some of the choreo that we did and some of our past pieces, and let's put it together, and let's make X-Men set. And that's what we took to San Diego Comic-Con. I remember taking our picture outside, meeting outside of the con, going in. It was insane. That performance was the first time we were on that San Diego Comic-Con stage in their main events hall. The music cut out on us. It cut out on us midway through whacking. We just kept dancing, and then it perfectly comes in, and we're on time with the music. And I was like, after that performance, we went home that night. We went to the con all 4 days because we could, and I was like, it happened. We're here. Ever since 2016, summer of 2016, San Diego Comic-Con has been like, you're performing for Masquerade halftime every single year. Every single year. To this point where now, I think this past year, Martin's like, if we don't have you, it wouldn't make sense. You become part of the family. We've become such good friends with Saber Guild, which is our other performance crew. We've got, like, we know all of our runners by their name. Martin's like, it's not even a question anymore. Every year, I'm just going to message you, be like, hey, it's that time of year. Send me over your roster and a little blurb and a picture if you got it. It's so great, and I love it. So I can say with confidence right now, you will see us at San Diego Comic-Con for 2024 because I love them. So then we end summer of 2016. We're going into 2017. We've now been doing this we're going on to 4 years now. 3 to 4 years we've been running core. And you'd think it'd get easier. It doesn't get easier. I don't know if we get Masquerade halftime for Anime Expo until that January. And now they're starting to shift. This is where it happens. You start to see the different shift of people within the SPJA lineup. There's like people are leaving to go other projects. People are being in charge of new things. So now I'm like, I don't know who I'm supposed to talk to. I think this was the first year. Yeah, 2017 was the first year that I met Diana Tolan and Sammy Speed. And, oh my gosh, my lovely human. I need to figure out her name. But it was our main girls who I absolutely loved working with. They are just superstars in their own right. They couldn't give us a guaranteed slot because Masquerade halftime, and I get it, it's a big deal. We knew it was a big deal when we first started it. It was a big deal to have a performance group for there. So we know when they had Wagaki Band, that was huge. They've had other people. They never know if they have a slot for us to do Masquerade halftime until last second. But we did get community stage. We knew for sure we were doing community stage, and we knew for sure we were going to do the final installment of the Beyond the Northern Wall trilogy, where we're going to end the trilogy with Return to the Unknown. We're going to close up the storyline of Hanji with the Pokedex taking the squad out to other anime worlds. And we're going to go back to that formula of just kind of a medley of fun animes. It wasn't until later on we were like, okay, we are going to take it to the Masquerade halftime stage. And that was freaking awesome. Oh, Francis! Francis Locke, Sammy Speed, and Diana Tolan. If you ever work with them in the convention world, they are wonderful people. As performers and as an entertainment group, they were wonderful people to work with. They understand entertainers. Communication was choice when I worked with them. So we go into 2017 knowing for a fact we are going to perform at the Masquerade halftime, we're going to perform for the community stage, and we're going to perform for San Diego Comic-Con Masquerade halftime. And that year, we took Teen Titans to San Diego Comic-Con. Amazing performances. Return to the Unknown was great. People knew who we were. They knew who the trilogy was. They understood. Even if you didn't keep up with the full trilogy, they kind of got it. You know what I mean? We had like a little video at the beginning, and then we closed it out at the end, and people were like, oh my gosh, it's the end of an era. I remember when Beyond the Northern Wall first came out, and this is their final trilogy. We performed on the Masquerade stage, and that stage was huge. There were stairs in the front of the stage, which was crazy, because if you know this, well, no one would know this but actual corpsmen, we don't really get a tech. Because we were a dance crew, we are always the last to get techs, whether it's in favor of Masquerade contestants. If we're doing a Masquerade halftime, the contestants get the first choice, which we as a crew adhere to ourselves. Even if the con's like, would you like a tech? We've straight up said, whoever's been in charge is always like, are there contestants that need the stage? It's their night. It's the Masquerade for the convention. The contestants, this is for them. The halftime show, it's not for us. We're there to entertain the masses while the judges figure out who won. But the contestants need to have their time on stage. So we just take whatever time is left over. And sometimes the contestants have cosplays that require more time, or they run behind. So we get the bare bones of tech time, which is, I think, at max for 20-minute sets, we've barely gotten 15. And that's a luxury. In the past, we've got to walk the stage. We've never gotten a full tech, which safety-wise isn't the best, knowing that we do lifts, that we have props, that we have runarounds, that we have costume changes. It's not great and it's not ideal. But core always worked on the idea that we have to be adaptable, we have to be accommodating, because we're professionals. We can do this. We can do it. So Return to the Unknown, while that stage was like, it was huge. And trying to get off the stage took forever, because the stairs were like the same length of the stage. It was crazy, but we did it, and it was a great performance. We had so much fun. I remember being Tamaki in the Oron section, and then just hearing the audience reaction. That was so great. Oh, having a drum set on stage. Well, having full band equipment on stage. Then we did Teen Titans at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was just, again, every year at San Diego Comic-Con, we know exactly how it works. We go into the room, we tech, we move to our holding room, we wait there, we hang out with Saber Guild, we have fun showing each other our sets, we take a picture together, we go and perform, take a picture with the photo group, and then we leave for the night and have fun. It's great. San Diego Comic-Con has always been like our vacation. It's like our retreat. After we do all the hard work at AX, like prepping for the AX show, and then San Diego Comic-Con, we're like, we just perform and we just have fun. It's always been great. Then we go to 2018 year. 2018 year is, again, Tim Wyckoff. So he's still in charge. I was just working with Sammy Speed, Francis, and Diana Tolan, but Tim was still in charge. That was the year they said, you will not be performing for Masquerade halftime. And that was heartbreaking for core. We're like, crap, we've been doing Masquerade halftime now for like the past 2 years. And then the year before that, like the last time we didn't get it was Beyond the Northern Wall. We weren't going to get it this year too. And we were so excited because we just closed out the Beyond the Northern Wall trilogy. We were about to embark, and we were like, we need to do one big anime. Just like how we did Attack on Titan back in 2014. Let's focus on one anime and really dedicate it to that. And so we chose a fan favorite that also had that military aspect that you got from Attack on Titan. We're like, Full Metal Alchemist, let's do it. We all love it. Who doesn't love Full Metal Alchemist? And we only ever create things that we love as fans, that we truly know inside and out. So like, let's do FMA. We didn't get Masquerade halftime. But we got Community Stage, which we're like, okay, that's fine. We got our panel, we have our dance workshop, and we'll do Community Stage, and it's great. And Community Stage is a 50-minute performance, okay? 50 minutes, a full hour. We have to fill that slot. So we make a 50-minute set of full-out cosplays, and it's dynamic. The Wednesday before the con opens, I drive up I always try to drive up early to make sure that our badges are squared away, because there's always something always happens, and it's always like a big chaotic thing. I go up with one of our other corpsmen, Bev, and she accompanies me, because I always ask if corpsmen can come with me, because I can do these things alone. I just don't want to, just because it's fun and I'm directionally challenged. So I drive up to the convention and I messaged him and I said, hey, I'm here to pick up our badges for the crew. He goes, cool. Can you meet me on the up ramp, the load-in dock for the entertainment hall? And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. So we drive up there and we walk in through the back area into the back way of entertainment hall, and they're still setting up, because this is technically day 0, and this is before day 0 was a thing for like only a couple of years at AX, and they're still setting up. So the stage for the community stage isn't even up. The booths aren't up yet. I'm waiting there and Tim's like, hey, let me go get your badges. They're having trouble finding it, so I need to, go get them. He walks up to me and he looks stressed out. I can tell he looks stressed out. And Tim is still my friend, and I'm like, hey, I know it's like chaotic. It's convention weekend. You've probably been here for like 2 weeks already. They go out there so early to set up. And he's like, of course. He's like, yes, I'm very stressed out. He's like, here are your badges. It's like 28 badges that all say Kayla Malari on them. Every single badge says my name. And I'm like, So it was a joke that year that everyone was me. I don't know why. I gave them a list and roster of everyone's name and the nickname that they preferred on it, which of course everyone's nickname was the character that they were playing for FMA. Nope, not a single one of that. It just says Kayla Malari on every single badge. And so I hand it to Bev and I'm like, that feels weird for me. I don't want everyone with my name on it. It just feels so domineering and like steamrolling. And I was like, oh, black God, why? And then Tim looks at me and goes, I have a proposition for you. And I'm like, oh gosh, is everything okay? And he goes, our performance act for Masquerade Halftime backed out last minute. They got injured and they can no longer perform. And I said, oh no, that's super stressful. Like, that's all I'm thinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, if someone cancels on you, a huge performance group that he spent a long time signing on. I'm not going to say who it was. It was a huge drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race that was supposed to perform. And he was like, they backed out because they got injured during their tour and they can no longer perform their set. They were supposed to do something for a fashion show and like have a booth, have a meet and greet, perform at Masquerade Halftime. Couldn't do it. He goes, can you guys perform for Masquerade Halftime? And I was like, and he goes, can you take the set that you're doing on community stage and can you cut it down to 25 minutes? Can you take your 50-minute set, randomly chop out 25 minutes of it, and then put it on 3 days from now? And I'm like, we had just had our last run through. And I'm like, oh no, we were having our preview night that night. And I was like, yes. I looked at Bev and I said, was that the right thing? She goes, the crew's going to do it. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. Because when you put together a set, it's like going to the cast of Hamilton and be like, can you take this 4-hour musical, keep all of the information, but can you condense it down to 1 hour? Someone's going to look at you and be like, no. My shot takes the full hour. That's you can't do that. It takes so much planning, so much like meticulous blocking and tracking of different dancers to make a set work. You can't just randomly chop out 25 minutes and think it's going to work. That's what we did. We performed 2 different versions of the same set. One, that's the 48 and like 23-second set that's on community stage. And then we completely reworked it during the most historic, hottest anime expo in history for the Masquerade Halftime stage. Guys, that weekend was a high of 114 degrees. Shellen passes out on stage. You can see it. Community stage, Shellen and Alphonse passes out for a hot second during Feel It Still and then comes back online. We have so many stories of the Masquerade Halftime because the Masquerade Halftime, our tech time, because it was so last minute, our tech time clashed with our panel. So we had to divide and conquer, which never works well, and I hated doing it. But Sonali had to take a small group and go hold the panel, and then I had to take everyone else and run tech. On this massive stage, it's too big, and the runaround is like 18 miles around all of the tech in the back. And we're like, oh my God, we didn't plan for this set to work like that. So it was a very hard set on the crew. Stamina wise, it was running a triathlon. And what was worse is that a good portion of the crew didn't get a full tech on the stage because they had been running panel. Needless to say, regardless of any obstacles we had met, we still killed that set. Like, I remember after the performance, like, I was just rewatching it the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, the crowd reaction is great. We weren't able to cut it down a full 25 minutes. I was like, hey, we maybe got it down to like a 35 minute set, but you asked us last minute, this is the best we can do. And they're like, you know what, just do it. Because they had no other choice. We were coming in clutch for them, really. And after the performance, I remember Sammy, our Sammy, and Des Shiam, who you guys all know from With Love, and he was also in my favorite, the Shannara Chronicles. You can also see him in Partner Track on Netflix. We all stand Des. And my favorite, Reef Break. Oh, he's going to hate me for that. But I remember Des and Sammy coming up. The rest of the crew was like outside already. And I'm still backstage trying to figure out, make sure that all the logistics are good. Someone always has to stay behind after the performance just to make sure that, like, is everything okay? Is all the props off stage? Does the crew or the organizers or the stage manager need anything from us? And Sammy, and after Shellen did his amazing deconstruction of his outfit, of his, Alphonse knighthood, I'm standing there with Shellen and Richie, who played Furrer Bradley, and they came up from the audience, and Des was like, it felt so good, especially from those two who are just big fans of Core in general. But Des was like, I don't know what happened, but you guys are like that. I've never seen this crew before. That was amazing. He was sham freaking wowed at what we put on that stage, and I was like, that felt so good. And then after that, like less than a week, we usually have at least 2 weeks, if not 3, between Anime Expo and San Diego Comic-Con. Less than a week later, like from that weekend, the next weekend was San Diego Comic-Con. We did a whole new set, which was Sucker Punch set. Disney Princess's Sucker Punch, which was a weird mashup of half the numbers were from FMA and the other halves were extremely new to Sucker Punch set. That set, unfortunately, is not up on our channel. You might be able to find it still. It is 2018 Sucker Punch set. I will tell you, and I just told this story, I just dropped this lore on some Corsman. I'm doing that set with a full taco foot, in the sense where I didn't fully break my foot. I fully fractured it prior to the performance, as in outside doing the freestyle. My foot folded like a taco. It swole up so much that I couldn't take my shoe off, and I couldn't put weight on it. But I was like, adrenaline, and I'm choosing this, so I'm going to dance on it anyways. Same with our Pocahontas, Chibs. She had, I think at that time, I think she had just torn her meniscus. And she also was like, you know what? But I can either sit out, and we gave each other the option. We're like, you either sit out and you don't do the show, which is what you should do when you're injured, honestly. But as dancers and performers, that ideal of the show must go on. It is your choice. It is your choice. You know your body well. We decided we're still going to perform. We're going to perform smart. We're going to perform well. We performed. You can't tell her knee hurts. I don't think you can tell my foot is a taco. We hobbled out of there, and we healed it over time, and frankly, I haven't had problems with that foot ever again. The knee's a different story, but never had problems after then. But it was that conviction of like, you know what, this is San Diego Comic-Con. They've always been here for us. We want to be here for this. We're in it. We performed. We had a great time doing Sucker Punch set. 2019 rolls around. 2019 is when we do some of my favorite sets ever. Not only did we did Plus Ultra on the Masquerade halftime stage, we also took Across the Multiverse for the first time to AX Dance Hall. So Sammy Speed and Francis Locke were now in charge of entertainment, with Diana Tolan being in charge of World Cosplay Summit at Masquerade. So Francis was in charge of a lot of the community-based things, and they had AX Dance Hall, where AX Dance Hall was where they did the dances at the end of the day. However, they wanted to utilize that space during con hours, so it wasn't just empty. And they're like, what if we did more performances there? There's a stage where the DJs and all of the go-go dancers dance. What if we did a performance there for Core? What if we gave you a full hour slot to do a full production show? Not community stage, different. You have control of the lighting, you have a tech, you'll have the room all for yourself. You can do props, whatever. We're going to specifically advertise it as your show. We're like, let's go. We brought Across the Multiverse there. So that was the first year, the first and only year we did not do community stage. It was a hard decision to make, but we're like, that is just so much to do a full hour on the AX Dance Hall stage and a full hour on the community stage and to do the full 30 minutes for Masquerade halftime, because we were guaranteed Masquerade halftime that year, which was awesome. So we said no to community stage. Hard decision. So we just performed Across the Multiverse at AX Dance, and then we did Plus Ultra for the Masquerade halftime. I remember doing Plus Ultra. Like, the crowd reaction, the hosts were like thrown for what was happening. It's chaotic. It is fully chaotic because we had dedicated so much time to Across the Multiverse that Plus Ultra was a labor of love of just the core for 3 weeks, hunkering down, and from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., no one on core stopped working for 3 weeks. It was amazing. Everyone was like, we got to make this work. We don't have time to put it together. We're putting it together. I remember those rehearsals. We were all in the zone and we were ready, and everyone was full out every single night and going. And it shows. It shows in the dedication on the stage. The crowd reaction was amazing. That performance went crazy. So much so that we took it again to ALA the next year, 2020 ALA, where we had new corpsmen join us and we were able to have the full roster for Plus Ultra. That year for San Diego Comic-Con, we did Avengers set because it was whatever it takes. They were just ending the whole Infinity Stone saga. Marvel had been something so ingrained in all of us. We loved it. We're like, it's time that we do a Marvel set. So we did our Avengers set. I got to be Captain Marvel. I was so excited. It was so much fun. I remember performing that and just, again, having a good time. That was the first year that we had an interview for Sci-Fi. I don't know if you guys remember Sci-Fi Channel. They had their whole website. They called us and said, we've seen you guys every year at San Diego Comic-Con. We'd love to do a podcast interview with you for the whole big con weekend. Because if you know San Diego Comic-Con, it's Hollywood. That's where people announce new shows, new television projects, new everything. So it's very Hollywood. It was so crazy that year at San Diego Comic-Con. Me, Rio, and Sonali we went in the Hilton to the Sci-Fi set of hotel rooms where we were going to record the podcast. We were in the room when the news dropped that Disney was dropping James Gunn as the director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That was a big thing because of James Gunn's past. It was a huge announcement that they were dropping him. He had just made Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, and they were not going to have him for 3. And I remember the room being a buzz. Everyone's running up and down the hallways like, we need to drop this information. So it was cool being on that side of it. We also got to share an elevator with Ed Hardy as Venom. Not Ed Hardy. He was wearing an Ed Hardy shirt. Tom Hardy, who plays Venom, was in the elevator with us. He's a lot shorter in real life. But that was crazy. That was so 2019 was the year where Core felt like we finally got our foot in the Anime Expo San Diego Comic-Con groove. AX solid. We got Masquerade halftime, AX Dance Hall, our panel, our workshop. Everything was great there. San Diego Comic-Con, we got interviews other days. I got to meet the voice actors for Blue Beetle and Tim Drake from Young Justice randomly in a coffee shop outside in the gas lamp. We were sitting there and we see this guy, he's sketching Blue Beetle, and we're like, oh my gosh, is that Blue Beetle from Young Justice? We freaking love Young Justice. And he says, yeah, I'm the voice actor for it. Already we're swooning, freaking out. We're like, oh my God, no, you're not. That's amazing. We're such fans of you. I love Jaime Reyes. And he goes, yeah, my friend's also the voice actor for him. He plays Robin. And everyone looks at me because they know Robin is my favorite hero. And I go, I'm sorry, which Robin? And because everyone loves Dick Grayson. And he goes, oh, he's just Tim Drake. Everyone knows. I fell off my bar stool. Tim Drake is my favorite superhero and my favorite Robin of all time. So I got to meet them. I have that photo still. So we're feeling good. 2019, we're feeling good. And then the panorama hits. The pandemic slams into all of our efforts and shatters them on the ground into 1,000 pieces because time is our enemy. Out of sight, out of mind. No matter how much work you put in, it is the hardest thing in Hollywood. If you are not constantly working and hustling, people forget you. And Core had fought against that for years. For what? At this point, we've been working 5 years. We've been working up to a point where we were guaranteed slots to perform. 2020, we had such good plans. I was like in meetings with AX long before the new year started. We had all these good ideas that we were going to do for AX 2020, all these good ideas. We were going to do a collaborative effort with Saber Guild at San Diego Comic-Con that year, and then the pandemic hit, and we're like, I remember like crying and thinking, it's that TikTok. All that work, and what did it get me? Why did I do it? And I knew it wasn't just my effort. It was the effort of every Coresman that had ever passed through Core in the last, 6 years that we had been going. All of the dedication and all of that effort, and not just in dancing, in going to the meetings and creating graphics and creating our media kit, in marketing, in promoting, in social media, in editing, all of that just kind of really hit us. And 2020 wasn't bad. We held our own Summer Fest online with our beautiful patrons and comrades. But I knew, I was like, gosh darn it, if that doesn't put us at step one, I don't know what does. And it kind of did. Because then 2021 rolled around and we did AX Light, and we created an Immortal Bond, a short film of Demon Slayer for it. That was a struggle to get them to take that. They said that they were going to take it, and then there was a lot of, after we created it, after we sank so much money and time, they were even like, oh, we were going to play it, but maybe we won't play it. Maybe we'll only play a portion of it, which is what they did. They only played up till the Muzan part on AX Lite, and then it was just available to click on the website. So that was like kind of a downer because they didn't even really promote it, but we got them to air it, which was amazing. Then we did our own premiere and everything, and that was awesome. Then came 2022, and I was worried. But 2022 came around, and gosh darn it if Core did not do the most, because Sammy Speed was in charge of all entertainment. And as you know, at this point, Sammy Speed is a G. She was great to work with. Her and Diana. And Deanna. I met Deanna Valencia for the first time in 2022, and they're like, we're going to have Core Dance Crew perform AX ribbon cutting, AX opening ceremonies, creating a special introduction that introduces all of the elements of the con, as well as collaborating with Made in Butler Cafe. For the first time, Made in Butler Cafe works so damn hard every single year, and they don't get near enough recognition. We were so excited to get them that recognition for opening ceremonies in 2022. Then we had Community Stage, Plus Ultra Remix Set. Then we had Masquerade opening, not halftime, because halftime was Tokyo, Japan, which, yes, have Tokyo, Japan perform Masquerade halftime. But we got to do a 10-minute Masquerade opening where we did Plus Ultra, which was perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, I almost prefer this. This is great. Then we did AX Dance, where we premiered Bishojo for the first time, and we held our booth for the very first time, a booth in Entertainment Hall where we did a freestyle circle, and we sold merch for our affiliates and collaborators. Then we did a panel, then we did a workshop. Technically, we're supposed to do 2 workshops, but we ended up just doing 1 because look at that. And closing ceremonies. Oh, we sold a lot. That was the year we did the most. 2022 was insane. It was the smallest the crew had ever been because it's post-pandemic. I think there was like 13 of us, and the girls killed it. A lot of them, that was their first time performing with Core at all. Absolutely killed it. Amazing. I actually skipped over 2021 while we did AX. We did the special edition of San Diego Comic-Con in the winter because San Diego Comic-Con needed to put something up so that they weren't hemorrhaging money. They needed to have some sort of convention. It was infinitely smaller than what San Diego Comic-Con had done in the past, but because it was their first time doing anything post-apocalypse, post-pandemic, and because it was not in their usual slot of August, it was set in, I think, November, December. It was called Special Edition, and it was very small. We did Squid Game that year. And oh my gosh, that Squid Game set. I love the Squid Game set. I love it. It was so, our footage isn't great and that we never posted it up because at one point they were telling our camera person to put the phone down. I will try to put it up as a special edition, as a special throwback, but, oh. Hold on, something's happening on the stream because I went a little long. Sorry, guys. Oh, hold on. Anyways, we did the special edition Squid Game set, and then that year we ended Anna Marketplace into 2022 for, oh, that's the wrong keyboard. I was like, I'm typing, and how come it's not showing up? Because I'm on the wrong keyboard, Calamari. 2022 Anime Expo into 2022. No, that is not what I want. San Diego Comic-Con, where we did Plus Ultra. So that was the first time in forever what is happening? What is... I don't know how to do this. Hold on, you're going to come with me on this journey. I'm going to call Nifa. This is weird. Why won't it let me verify that it's me who's been... I hate this. That's not me. I've been running this crew for the past 10 years. And it still doesn't believe that I'm the one running this crew. And you know what? That's annoying. That's rude. I'm the only one with the password. I don't know. Can you guys still see me? Guys, let me know if you can still see me streaming. Because my screen says that I need to do this whole verification project thing. Let me know in the chat. I don't know how to get out of it. What's happening? Okay, if you guys can still see me, that's great. If you still hear me, that's awesome. It won't let me do anything on my end, so we'll just figure that out later. Anyways, let me wrap this all up because I've been chatting for so long. I'm amazed you guys are still here. Thank you for tuning in all the way to the very end. But 2022, we did a lot for AX. We did a lot for San Diego Comic-Con. The first time we did Plus Ultra Remix for both Anime Expo as well as San Diego Comic-Con. It was the first time we took something anime related to San Diego Comic-Con. And it's because anime is now so westernized and it's so mainstream. I do credit that to the pandemic because a lot of more people were like, everyone was into anime, but now people were more outward with it in anime or in the mainstream world and TikTok and everything. So we just expanded our Plus Ultra Remix set to accommodate for the set that we needed to do at San Diego Comic-Con. Adding in elements of my sister as Captain Britain. She was in there as Peggy Carter to add like a Comic-Con element. We had my other sister Trixie, who was a former corpsman, but she lives down in San Diego. She came in as 11 from Stranger Things because we had a whole Vecna section. So that was really fun doing like an anime set, but at a comic convention. And that was, of course, it's always fun. And that's where Saber Guild was like, okay, we really need to collaborate. And I said, yes. So we started in talks that year. Then you come into 2023, last year. 2023 last year, they what the heck did we do? Oh, that was Gerudo set. So for AX 2023, we got reached out to, and they're like, we want you guys to do AX opening, just like a short 10-minute performance. Well, I had a meeting with them. And I asked about like Masquerade opening, not even halftime. Isn't it sad? After all the years of working Masquerade halftime, of doing Plus Ultra at Masquerade halftime, of having Attack on Titan and Return to the Unknown, I was like settling. I was like, we're not good enough for Masquerade halftime. And I'm not saying that to be self-deprecating. I'm saying that it's hard as a cosplay dance crew. If people don't ask for us, the cons don't have us. We need people to tell them that they want us. They don't care if the crowd cheers. They don't care if the crowd gives us a standing ovation, which we got for Plus Ultra. We got a standing ovation. That's not what they're looking at. Unless someone is willing to say to their face, hey, we like the core dance group. They're not going to bring us back. They don't know that people want us. And we don't think people want us either. So we were like, okay, can we do Masquerade opening? And they're like, maybe let's have you do opening and closing ceremonies. I guaranteed that in our meetings. And we were having meetings, I think, in the winter of 2022. So usually I'll plan for things a year in advance, like a good 10 months prior. That's when things get solidified. I have to start having meetings. Like this summer, I have to have meetings now for spring of 2025. That's how it works. So we got opening and closing ceremonies. We had our AX booth again. We had our workshop and our panel, and we were going to do community stage. And that's where we brought over Gerudo set, which, mad props to the crew. Those cosplays, and to everyone who contributed to our, what is that thing called? It's not a GoFundMe. Oh my gosh. What is it called? You guys have to help me. I forget what it's called. But our crowdfunding campaign, thank you guys. I apologize for all those people who messaged. There was a lot of things that got lost in the mail because of it was still sent out during the times where restrictions on mailing things was happening because of Indiegogo. Thank you, Eliza. There's still restrictions that we had to adhere to last in 2023 for sending stuff out. So I got a bunch of stuff sent back to me. So don't worry, you're still on there for a list of things that need to get sent back to you. We just need to find where they went or recreate some of those campaign goodies that we need to send out. So don't worry, they're still there. But everyone who contributed to the Gerudo set, including the Chorsmen themselves, phenomenal set. Again, the first time we got to meet Sora, that crowd was amazing. We had great crowd reaction again. We had so many people come up to the booth and spend time at the booth because it was a freestyle place, you know? We had a great turnout for panel, a huge turnout for panel, and a huge turnout for workshop, as we did every year. It was amazing. Then we took Gerudo set to San Diego Comic-Con, which was exactly the same set. We just, did a little changes and whatnot, but it was very easy. There's very little time between Anime Expo and San Diego Comic-Con, so doing the same set twice in a row, golden. San Diego Comic-Con, great. Collaborated with Jeddah Temple down in San Diego with Saber Guild. We're like, we're doing something together. We're doing something together. We always have fun together. And now we are in the year 2024. And I can tell you, after everything that I said, part of the core lore that I wanted to relay to everyone is nothing's guaranteed for us. I cannot emphasize enough how nothing is guaranteed for what core does. If core performs somewhere, it is with gargantuan effort and with so much convincing. These dancers have been phenomenal year after year. I've had so many Chorsmen pass through core, and every last one of them has left their impression and their legacy, has become a fan favorite, has iconicized a character, or has created a brand new fandom in and of themselves, have made sets last to become favorites for years to come. Even if this person's favorite set is Plus Ultra, this person's favorite set is Anime Medley. This person's is going to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This person's is going to be Shoujo. This one's going to be Evolutions. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone gives their all. And even then, after 10 years, it is 2024, Core started in 2013. More than 10 years later, it is still a struggle for us to show up at a con and perform. So I can tell you, and official announcements will go later, you will definitely see Core at San Diego Comic-Con 2024. And in some capacity, you will see, even for a brief moment, Core at Anime Expo. Not like it's been in the past. Getting Core at Anime Expo this year was hard. There's no demand for us. Our reputation does not precede itself, and yet it does precede itself. I've heard nothing but great things about Core from the cons, from con goers. I had discussions, I've had my meetings, and for some reason, it just all kind of disappeared this time around. And so that is the Core lore that I want to tell you, that no matter how hard the Core works, we always have to work harder again the next year, and we always start at ground zero. So, all that to say, if you want to find out what we are actually doing for the summer in great detail, you should become a patron. Our patrons are going to get that announcement very soon. They're going to get announced when we're performing, what we're performing, how they can find us, and all the little details of who's going to be playing what in our upcoming sets. We have 2 brand new sets coming out for the summer. One that's going to be for Anime Expo in some capacity, and one that's going to be for San Diego Comic-Con. So, become a patron. Join us on patreon.com. Find the Core Dance Crew. You can become a patron for as little as $2 a month. All of those proceeds go directly back to the Core in creating stuff. And you get a bunch of behind the scenes. I actually, right after this, I'm going to post some special images to our patrons as we prepare for our huge photo shoot coming up in a couple days. The team looks so great. But other than that, thanks for sticking around for this Core Lore session. It was so much longer than it needed to be. I apologize. I'm a big chit-chatter. But that's some of the information relayed back to you. Some of the mythos, some of the personal experience. If you ever want to know more, follow us on Instagram. Don't follow us on TikTok. TikTok doesn't let us post anything anymore because all of our performances, our music is licensed. You know? So follow us on Instagram at the Core Dance Crew. One word. You can find all of our updates of upcoming things, all of the promos, all of the behind the scenes. And if you have questions for Core, either send it to our website at www.thecoredancecrew.com or DM us on Instagram. With that being said, thank you so much. Thank you, Coresmen, and thank you everyone who supported us in the chats. I need to stop talking for the next 18 days. I hope you have a lovely weekend. I'm going to go simp over a picture of my niece. And I need to start making her cosplays because you know what she's got to get. She's going to be growing like a weed, and I have cosplays planned out, you know, auntie and niece cosplays. It's a whole thing. So with that being said, let's call it out. Sotomato on 3 with everything in your heart, because Core, going over this Core lore just reminds me there's a lot to do. I know on a personal level, I felt like I was in a fork in the road. And for those who follow me personally on Instagram, you know, in that fork, my resolve never breaks. So get ready. Get ready for Core to kind of tear it up. Sotomato on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sotomato! Peace up. A-Town down. Let's go kill someone. I'm kidding. We're not going to kill anybody. We're going to kill titans. Really big titans that are in charge of things. Titans that get in our way because we're part of the Survey Corps. Maybe demons. Let's go get demons because that's another Corps. See y'all later.